situations and circumstances handling you, you can really get a grip on your life and really begin to handle it in a mighty and a powerful way. So what we're going to do is, man, as I said, we're going to study step number 8. I'd like to start out with the serenity prayer. And if you will, man, we can just join right in here with me and we can say the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Just for today. And so I said, we've made major progress. And I mean, this group has really been special to me in the way that everybody's just really come into the rooms and really contributed in a meaningful way and been here on a regular basis. And again, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here and taking the time to invest in yourself. And the best investment you can make on the serious side of everything is in yourself. And we're going to use these steps as a means of assuring that we continue to invest in ourselves, and it brings about that'll produce a beneficial outcome for all of us. Let's look at step number 7 on step number 8 actually, on page 127, man. And this is a pretty powerful step. I mean, we've come a very long way, having reached step number 8. And are we all there, man? It's on page 127, and the step itself reads as follows: made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. And then I always call this the power passage that gives us the spiritual basis of the spiritual power to carry out and to execute that step in relationship with in connection with our relationship with God, that gives us the power to carry that step out. And here's the power passage. It's from Luke chapter 6, verse 31. And it reads as follows: do to others as you would have them to do to you. And that pretty much covers it all. If something covers it all. If somebody did something wrong to you, you know, of course we can't control people and places and things, but just out of respect for themselves, so you could have respect for them as well. And the fact that you expect somebody to respect you, likewise, you would expect them to apologize for having done wrong to you. Maybe not today, but you would expect them to apologize to you. You know, as they say, do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. I mean, that's only what do you call that? Common courtesy, right? Yeah. And if you expect that from somebody else, I like this from this perspective. There are some things that you've done to yourself that you really need to check yourself, examine yourself, and look at it for what it really is, and apologize to yourself in the form of not doing those things, and recognize that you have done some things, and no longer go down that path in terms of the repercussions and consequences that those bad choices and decisions and behaviors have brought upon you. Are you following what I'm saying? It's obvious that there's some decisions that we made that were harmful to us. So not only do we expect other people to show respect for us, but we also have to show respect for ourselves. Are you following what I'm saying? And I could really go down the road with that one, but I'm going to leave that one right where it's at. But here's what we want to say too. We don't want to, by the time we get to step number 8, we stop being self-centered and selfish and just thinking our whole world revolves about us. Are you following what I'm saying? When we look over the past, having done steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and now we're on step 8, there has been some serious collateral damage. There has been some people that have been victimized. There are some people that have taken some major losses because we were really selfish and looking out for ourselves. Are you following what I'm saying? And because we were really caught up in ourselves, we didn't really have time to put our lives on pause and make an assessment of the people that got hurt along the way. Are you following what I'm saying? And so the good part about it, God has given us in situations and circumstances that provided us an opportunity, if not, but maybe the first time, for us to be honest and say, you know what, my mother allowed me to stay in the house, man, when really, man, I know she didn't want me to stay there, and I brought a lot of grief to her house. Are you following what I'm saying? There are some people that may have been looking out for me, you know what I'm saying, looking for me, and I didn't tell my mother and I didn't tell my father, you know, but there's some bad things that could have happened in terms of my house. Are you following what I'm saying? And you're not by yourself. I'll tell you this, I remember when I was a bail bondsman, I owned my own bail bond company. And there was a brother I had to hunt down because I put this guy on his feet and I made him comfortable. And I'm sober. Are you following what I'm saying? I've been sober for about 15 to 16 years. And if anybody know where Lancers is, right? So I'm in my brand new Lincoln Town car. I got my binoculars and I'm looking for this cat. I'm waiting for him so I can handle my business because he didn't go to court. So I jumped out of my car. I grabs this guy, short of the long is. I stuffed him in my car, take him downtown, and the sheriff's giving me a hard time about it. But anyway, I ended up putting this guy back behind bars because he didn't handle his business. I put him on his feet and made him comfortable, and he knocked me off my feet and made me uncomfortable. The point of it is, and now I'm on camera, so I might as well, my mama didn't know, but she gonna know now. Here's the point. My mother's house got burnt down 2 days later. Now, I don't know if this guy knew where I stayed at or not. Are you following what I'm saying? I don't believe he knew where I stayed at. You know, I didn't stay there. I don't believe he knew where my mother stayed at. Are you following what I'm saying? But my mother didn't deserve that. Are you following what I'm saying? And I really, if any of us was in the life and you've been out there and you don't understand the danger that you put other people in. Are you following what I'm saying? The danger that you put your kids in. Are you following? They don't know what you're doing out there in them streets. Are you following what I'm saying? Your woman, your girlfriend, the danger that you put them in. Are you following what I'm saying? And the lifestyle that I live, I never thought about the connection. Now, maybe that was just a coincidence, you know, that it happened. You follow what I'm saying? But till the day, I wonder if that guy actually did it. You follow what I'm saying? And I had to restrain myself from trying to get even. Are you following what I'm saying? Because everything to me added up that he did it. Are you following what I'm saying? But only one thing worse than one problem is two. Are you following? So when we say we need to take a pause and think of the people that we've harmed, there's a lot of people. How many people here can honestly say, when you look back on the road that you traveled and where you came from, without a shadow of a doubt, there's been people that's been hurt and injured, or lives have been put in danger, or lives have been seriously, the progress in terms of their lives being made in terms of their life have been seriously hindered or hampered or brought to a complete halt. Are you following what I'm saying? Those people deserve, if they would have done to you what you did to them, how would you feel? Just put it like that. Can you honestly see, can you see it now when you put it like that? If people would have done to you half of what, and some of them don't even know what you did. Can anybody understand? I mean, and when you think about it, I mean, that's just some stuff that I can tell you about when I was sober, which is one of the worst things that I can think about. But there are some things that I did when I was actually involved in drugs and alcohol that I shudder to think about. My stomach drops like I'm on an elevator. You understand what I'm saying? It's just like, have you ever been in an elevator and you get on it and it drops and your stomach drops like, or you see the point? I can think of some things that I was involved in when I was out there that makes my stomach drop. So how do you think the people feel that was involved in terms of your life feel about it? Go ahead, brother.
You know what, when I was out there, I used to say I ain't hurt nobody but myself. I never actually thought of who else I was hurting. You know, just even my neighbors.
Come on now.
You know, it's not until I came into this process again and I really got serious about being sober and getting my life in order, and I did that 4th step and started going through my steps, that I realized every day of my life and my addiction, somebody got hurt some kind of way, whether it was their feelings, whether I stole something from, somebody got hurt while I was out there, you know, doing what I was doing. And I'm like, you know, I said it and think, you know, some of the stuff, I thank God ain't nobody came back and did nothing to me. And that ain't nothing but God looking out for me, you know, doing for me what I can't do for myself, because I did some rough stuff out there, you know.
And so when we look at it, what I can only say is that when we look at it, we'd have to admit that God has done for us what we can't do for ourselves. And the fact that we made it out, even by the skin of our teeth. I mean, even when you, again, you can't, common sense would have you understand that if you just barely made it out, you didn't do it by yourself. There was some people that was close to you that was equally threatened. You see what I'm saying? So if anything else, we should have an attitude of gratitude. But you know what? In terms of us, the way that we operate, we feel like, you know, we stick our chests out. Yeah, I made it again. You know, I did it again. You know, them lames, you know what I'm saying, they slept, you know. And so what we do, again, we get caught up in that bravado, that false sense of, that Superman complex. You know, I'm smooth, you know, man, they sleeping and I'm creeping, you know, but you don't realize, man, that stuff will catch up with you. Go ahead, brother.
And like you were saying, how you get that gut feeling, you know, after you cross the threshold of righteousness and you know this is how you want to be the rest of your life is righteous. And then you think back on the memories, and it just make you feel awful, man. And you know, I be going through a lot of that sometimes. I be like, man, dang, man, I can't believe this. What was going on in my life? You know, you know, I got a clean slate, my mind right, my spiritual right, And then those memories, I think about them because it ain't like I can get rid of them forever.
Yeah.
I was that person before, so I can't get rid of them. It's like I gotta live with them, and that's a hell of a thing, man. You know.
Today, 19th or 18th? 17th. I'm moving up. Like the Jeffersons.
I used to think that way, though. You know that I was just
like haunted,
invincible. You know, because I've been in 9 drug raids and never went to jail.
See what I'm saying? Yeah. Man, tell me God don't deserve a praise and a worship behind that.
I said each one, I said, I got away this time. Just think about you get at another one. I mean, I've been going 2 weeks apart in the same area. Police just look and say, didn't I just see you? Didn't I just see you? You know, and then go back to the same spot and have it again. You know, so it's only God, you know, that you know, so I didn't think I was harming anybody else, but you know, all the people that I was supposed to be responsible for, you know, I wasn't being responsible because I was too busy doing what I wanted to do, and I didn't think I was hurting them. It was hurting me.
And how many guys can actually remember where, now we talk about the drug rate. How many guys had to end up getting lawyers? Are you following what I'm saying? Behind that and robbing their old lady or the girl or their significant other or rent money that they have for the kid because now they got to get a lawyer. You got to get a lawyer so you can handle it. And then it was talk about bail, you got to get a bond. You know, I used to wonder, man, where do these people get $1,000 on a $10,000 bond? I can get it, you know, we chop it up, we get the money to get. But where do they get $2,000 on a $20,000 bond? If they could come up to give me $2,000, they could have gave them $2,000 and they wouldn't have been in the jackpot because they would have had, you know, you follow what I'm saying? I mean, these are all the consequences. You know, we tell our girls or we tell our mother, how many guys can remember the young guys say, you know, Ma, I promise you, when I get out of this thing, I'm never going to get it no more. You know, Ma, if you just stick with me this time, I'm telling you, I know it looked pretty bad now, but you taught me, you know, we can talk real good. You brought me up right, you know, and now I see what you were saying was true. And now you got to make that call, you understand, a week later, because now you're in the same fix. Are you following? We owe these people an apology. Are you following what I'm saying? Fathers, I don't want to leave the fathers out. You know, we're pretty tough, but fathers that have always been there for you as best as they could. You know, but if it ain't the father, it's the mother. And how about this one? If you think you ain't got a mother or a father that's been there, how many of us got sisters that we would call up all the time? Don't tell mommy what happened. Are you following what I'm saying? Don't tell mommy. You know, I'm gonna get this down. Are you? We all these people. So when you start to do this list in terms of having done that set, in terms of looking at step number 8. Now we want to look at this thing for all that it's worth. Having made a list, and I'm covering some of the people, and I want you to get to that. I made a list of all the persons we'd harmed. We got to include our sister in this. Are you following what I'm saying? When I used to get guys out, you know what I'm saying? I knew they would bring their sister down. Are you following what I'm saying? And I would really handle the business real good for their sister, because I hate to say it, in the drug world, if the sister is closer to the brother than anybody else. Are you following what I'm saying? And if I treat the sister right, guess who she dealing with? Another drug boy. Are you following what I'm saying? So she gonna tell her boyfriend, and the word's gonna get out. Ralph is the dude that you want to know. Are you following what I'm saying? But there was a method to what I was doing. Are you following? All these guys owe their sisters, man. Ain't a guy that I notice out there that don't owe their sisters a favor. Or if it ain't their sister, how many guys got a cousin that's a girl that they would call up to help them out? Are you following what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that we've actually put out on the spot so we could be comfortable doing the dirt that we did. So this is a real big step. And guess what? Some of them did it, most of them did it out of pure love for you. If they had to, most of them would do it all over again. But is it fair at this particular time that you should not man up and tell them, you know what, cuz, I appreciate what you did for me. You see what I'm saying? Sis, I appreciate what you did. Maybe I never said nothing before. You follow what I'm saying? I know I made a lot of promises and maybe I didn't stick with them. You follow what I'm saying? But this time, in all honesty, I realized that I made some wrong turns and I brought you into this where you didn't deserve to be brought into this, or mother, or father. So this is a big step.
Or children.
Or children. Man, we can't forget the little. Come on, man, help me out with this one. You were going to say?
Children.
I was going to say, there's a lot of things that I've done in the past that I didn't remember.
Oh, man.
And certain people have come up to me since I've been sober.
Woo.
You remember so-and-so and so-and-so. I ran into a dope boy a couple of weeks ago. I owe $1,300 to. And when I seen him, that's when it came back. Mm-hmm. And he was like, man, you look good. And I said, I'm trying to get my life together. He said, man, I'm glad you are. You know, squash that. You know, it's squashed. You know, all because I did what I should have did a long time ago and started getting my life together. Now, I ain't going to say that's going to happen with everybody, but it's just the way it happened with me. You know, and even my brother, we were talking this morning. He said, dear, you remember that time? And my mom, it was just me and my brother, and we both getting high. So my mother got double the trouble. He said, you remember that time I stole my purse and handed it to you out the bedroom, out the bathroom window?
Man.
I said, man, when? And he had, I said, man, I forgot all about that. But see, I can't tell her I'm sorry now. Well, she's dead now, but she got to see me sober.
Amen.
So I did, in a way, apologize, if not verbally, by my actions. You know, so, you know, we was just discussing this morning, you know, how she got to see both her kids sober before she passed. And we were all together doing the right thing. You know, now one of us, my little sister, done went off and did something else, you know, she in jail. And I'm telling her, you got to get yourself together. You got a baby out here now. You ain't took care of your baby since the baby was born last year. Me and my cousin been taking care of this baby. So I'm telling her, she come home on the 17th of next month. I'm telling her, you cannot go back to doing what you was doing before, because I'm in here. Maria has 4 kids. She trying to raise plus yours. It might not be so easy the next time if you go back to doing what you was doing. And you know, I pray every day that she don't do it, but my mind is telling me, you know, that's where she headed, just by conversations I've been having with her. So I'm constantly on my knees praying, because that means it's going to force a lot of people to do some things that they're not really prepared to do, like me. You know, I'm not going to let my nephew go into the system. That's the only nephew I got. So that means I'm going to have to step up my game and get my housing together, so if she mess up again, I can step in and say, okay, I'll take him. You know, and you just raise your 4 kids over here, and I'll raise him over here. You know, because the way she had her thinking hasn't changed in 2 years she's been locked up. She already talking about how she gonna get back in the game, this, that, and the other.
And you know what though, you bring up a good point, because man, you actually bring up like 3 or 4 real good points. If we can't actually apologize or make that apology for a couple reasons, maybe the person is no longer here. We're gonna get into those issues as well. Are you know what I'm saying? But you can certainly apologize by your behavior. Are you following what I'm saying? You can have an attitude of gratitude. How many of us mothers said, you know what, man, I've heard that, or your woman may have heard that. I've heard that so many times, and you get up against the wall, and you're up against the wall, and you know, you say, well, all I can do is show you. You know, if you show me some love this particular time, if you just, you know, help me out in this particular situation, all I can do is show you. And here's another thing in terms of the way of making a list of all the people we harmed, and became willing. This willingness aspect can also be to do on the others, as we're talking about down here. What about the people that were there for you? Like you say, your sister or whatever. If you can't make the apology to them, you can be willing to help people in terms of as many people that has helped you. Are you following what I'm saying? Like you talk, and I love what you're saying, in terms of us getting out of our own little shell, because all of us was, you know, get it while you can, and if you can't, you know, well, you slept that move, I got mine, see you the next go around or whatever. But our world has gotten bigger by the time we get to step number 8. So we're reaching out and looking for opportunities where we can actually be a part of the solution in terms of helping and healing other people as opposed to being part of the problem. And I done skipped my brother for a couple times. Let us have it. What was you going to say?
My name Young. By God's grace, I'm recovering alcoholic in this process of recovery.
Amen. Thanks for being here, Brother Young.
Yes, sir. I was gonna go, like, I wanted to touch on, it was like our past and the harm we've done. For me, right now, where I'm at today, things I look back on, like I say regret, or what hurt me the most is like, not so far as like the physical damage I did, or like I say like the mental, spiritual damage I did to people in my lives, you know. As I look back now, how can I look back at that person I was just a couple 24s ago, and I see like, man, how can you tear somebody's spirituality up the way you're doing by your actions, not caring you know, not I want to thief or nothing like that, but my actions itself, my alcoholism got to the point, like, I ain't care about nothing and nobody, you know what I'm saying? And how can, like, now I feel some type of way, because I'm actually taking people off the path of God, and I can look back and honestly look, like, man, I had her question her own spirituality. I had her question her own relationship with the Lord. Who am I to do that? You know what I mean? See what I'm saying? They're my kids, you know? Man, I'm supposed to be an example to them. How am I an example to them? All I'm thinking about is this bottle. You know what I'm saying? My oldest boy, my middle boy, 14, freshman in high school, you know what I mean? This past summer, you know what I mean, football season started. I bought him some cleats, whatever, brand new cleats, whatever. He went out for the team. But since I wasn't there participating, when I was in kindergarten, I went through this with my own father. See what I'm saying? I'm transferring. He transferred from Glenville, went to Shaw out of all places. You know what I'm saying? I'm in ARC, talking to him, whatever, you playing ball? Yeah, I'm going to play ball, get him some basketball shoes. Daddy, can you come to my game? No, I can't be able because I got to be streets and this and that and the third. I'm quitting basketball. See what I'm saying? This the damage I did to others, you know what I'm saying? So it's deeper than just the physical, it's the mental and the spiritual side of it that gets me, that gets under my craw. Like the physical things, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I got in fights and all that with cats, even some of my own family members. So I've actually apologized to them, like, man, I'm sorry that went down that way, this, that, and the third. But spiritually, you hurt somebody spiritually, it's going to take more than just words, and sometimes even more than just actions. You see what I'm saying? Okay. I gotta get connected back. I gotta get them connected back spiritually. See what I'm saying? Because this thing, like Lieutenant Jones always said, this thing, my addiction isn't a physical disease, it's a spiritual disease. See what I'm saying? So I need a spirit greater than myself to combat this disease, and I understand that now, and I'm working earnestly at that. So it's just my things I did in the past, man. Thank you, Lord, for letting me be here today.
And you know what? And you bring up another good aspect, because there's people that actually prayed for us in terms of intercessory prayer, that we didn't get justice and we would get mercy. Are you following what I'm saying? And check this out. If you don't want to, if you can't really get right there with that, we had them doubting themselves. You know what I'm saying? Your mother would pray like, well, what did I do? Right. How many guys have heard this before? You know, they come in and say, you know, practically with tears in their eyes, just that, well, they pray. I did, you know what, Lord, if it's anything that I may have done that my son has turned out the way he is, you know what I'm saying? They praying for themselves as well as praying. So now they're doing, you know, making a search and fears, more inventory of themselves spiritually. They doubting themselves spiritually because they want to know where they went wrong. And they know that they did the best that they possibly could with what they had. Are you following what I'm saying? And they have given you their all. Are you following? Maybe you may not see it, but wait until you become their age, and then you see it. Because I'm seeing some stuff with my sons that I know that my parents were praying for me, especially my mother. Are you following what I'm saying? And I'm at the crossroads right now where I'm dealing with a devastating situation with my son. One of them, and maybe the other one as well. You follow what I'm saying? And it's tough, man. I did the best that I could. Are you following what I'm saying? But I'm doubting myself. You know, am I getting back what I did? Are you following what I'm saying? But then, as I told you, I'm an author, and I wrote a book called 360 Degrees of Shame, Blame, and Pain for Profit. But I did it while I was also directing these and volunteering in these courses. I mean, in these sessions. However, there's specifically what you're talking about, there's a chapter in my book where I talk about when I used to practice in Pee Wee football in elementary school at Gordon Field, at Gordon Park down there by Lake Erie. And I used to go down there, and man, I was one of the best defensive tackles I can remember in elementary school that they ever was. And they would call me Wild Man, because if the guy had the ball, I'm going after him. Are you following what I'm saying? And I was very good, even in elementary. My father never came to see me. You follow what I'm saying? And worse yet, although I love him, worse yet is when we would have games at Plymouth Field, or we would have games over there on Huff or whatever in that field right over there, or we would have it at Patrick Henry. You know, I'd be playing my heart out, man. Playing my heart out. I mean, taking cats down. If you was, you know, taking them down, I guess I was taking my hostility out. I had a natural gift. On so much hostility, and I would always look up in the stands, and my father would never be there. And I would be looking for this guy, man. I'm like, man, where's he gonna show up? And you know, that hurt me till today, but I love him. You know, I've learned how to get over that type of stuff. Are you following what I'm saying? But it hurts a child when you're doing the very best you can do, and it seems as though, you know, there's nobody there for you. Worse yet, when we used to go to the games, we would all clam into one of my buddy's car, And they would take me, you know, like the little straggler kids, you know. But their parents would never say nothing. They would take me to the different fields where we would have games, you know, and treat me good. But it would hurt me that my parents never took me, would never take my guys, you know. It was like they was, you know. And then when we moved from St. Clair all the way over to Kinsman, I would walk all the way back over to St. Clair just to play ball because I knew my guys. But my point of it is we have to think about people that we hurt that's bigger than us. And man, spiritually speaking, in terms of what you're saying, there's a lot, as you said, there's spiritual damage. But, you know, all we can do is move forward from today. You follow? My brother, you want to say something? This is good. I like the way the direction that this is going. And feel free, you can always open it up in this group. Go ahead, brother.
I have never had any substance abuse, any alcohol abuse. My abuse was mental, and it was on myself. Mm-hmm. And I finally realized that it was partly on myself and partly from what my father would be criticizing me. And it was a life-changing event on Christmas. He was bringing me back. I'd gone for a family visit, one for our class, and he was bringing me back, and he asked me, "What would you have done if I wouldn't have come and got you?" I said, "Well, since I had to pay for the gas, I could have saved $40. Mm-hmm. And he saw it as ungrateful. And I said, "No, check it out. When you're so low, where you are rich to have 2 pennies in your pocket, mm-hmm. Think about that." He says, "But I'm looking at all the times you failed." I was like, okay, check it out. If you're driving down the road and your car gets wrecked, are you going to keep it wrecked or are you going to fix it? He says, "I'm going to fix it." I mean, this was totally God just speaking through me. I said, "Okay, fine. Once you get your car fixed, is it still wrecked?" And he says, "No, it's fixed." I said, "Okay. When you take it somewhere, are you still thinking about how it's still wrecked?" And he said, "No, I'm thinking about how it's right." I said, "Well, so why are you doing that to me?"
Wow. Yeah.
And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Every time you tell me of all the times I've failed, and here I'm trying to do right, and you're still telling me all the times I've failed, why should I try to do right? Wow. You still painting me as wrecked." And he's so quiet, I thought he fell asleep. And finally he said, "You got a point. First time in 28 years. I'm 28 years old. First time in 28 years, he literally shut up and listened to me just pouring from my heart. Look, gotta stop treating me wrecked." And he finally was like, "Okay, I think I'm getting it. Give me another example." And he's got a bunch of rock. He's got a big old rock garden. I said, "Do you pour gas on the fire?" He says, "No, that would kill it." I said, "Well, you've been pouring gas on me for the longest. Cut it out." I mean, it wasn't me telling my dad what to do. It was me sharing from a heart that had actually gotten above all the circumstances he kept putting on me. I was like, "Look, I don't care what your dad did to you. I really don't. Because if I care about that, I'm going to put myself in a wrecked position. I'm not trying to be wrecked."
That's good. That's you know, and that's a lot of times, and this is another that you bring out a good point. We can be on. How many guys understand you can be on emotional overload? You know, so much stuff has happened over such a period of time, and maybe you've done something to so many people, or so many people have done so many things have happened to you. You can actually, like a circuit breaker in your house. Anybody know that circuit box? It can overload, you know, and you respond in a way that you would normally respond. Are you follow what I'm saying? And so we've got issues in terms of relationships that I hear all of us are taking responsibility for. Well, we've got to unload some of that stuff. Are you following what I'm saying? And here's what's so good about unloading some of those issues that we're dealing with. Go ahead, brother.
When that happens, it tends to make you always reactive to the act. That's what it does.
Amen. Yeah.
You know, it tends to make you reactive to the act. You know, because you find yourself, you shut your emotions down. you know, is what you do. So you're going to react to everything, whether it be negative or positive. Someone can say something nice to you, instead of accepting the compliment, you try to critique it. So you're not really, you're reacting to it instead of acting, still saying thank you. You know, why are you saying that to me? You know, that's reacting. You know, instead of just saying thank you. You know, and I find it a lot with, you know, what you were saying. That's how you have to act. That's how you had to act. You had to react. Because, you know, you couldn't show that emotion. You know, and I think a lot of times, I find too, when it happens is, you know, when you've been out there in the street, you have to have that hard exterior.
Wow, yeah.
You know, and it becomes a learned behavior. And after a while, that's how you react to everything. You react to someone who's trying to be loving to you, you don't know how to react. You react to it. You don't know how to accept it. Because you don't want to show that emotion. You know, and you know, for me, I didn't go through that too much, you know, but I was always on a defensive. You know, I was always on a defensive, and I used to catch myself, you know, because I could hear myself. You know, before you got out your mouth, I already had the answer. You know, before you even finished the sentence, I was always cutting you off. You know, and people had to bring it to my attention. You know, why always doing that? I never finished the sentence. And I could hear people talking, and I would be talking while they're trying to tell me something. And after a while, you know, when people said it to me, you know, now I more tend to listen now. You know, and let you finish, but that's what.
And you certainly do in this group. I noticed you let everybody else talk, and I know you have some good stuff you want to contribute. And when it's time, you'll
right,
say what you want to say. You did it totally a 360. But what I want to say is, in terms of this step here, what it says is, we want to get back to the step itself. And see, a lot of times we think that when you probably first came in, you probably thought this step really didn't really cover that much. Are you following what I'm saying? But it's a reason why they say a list. There's a lot of issues that we have to deal with. Are you following what I'm saying? That we've either protected ourselves from in terms of not letting anybody in on our inner circle in terms of how we really feel, cutting people off, just being concerned with ourselves and not seeing how everybody else is affected. There's a whole list. Now the book talks about using step 4, made a searching and fearless more inventory. Inventory. Use that list as a means of identifying those that you may have harmed as well. However, in this step it says step 8. Let's look at it again. It says made a list, and that's a bell ringer right there. Are you following what I'm saying? If you ain't got a list, and it's more than just a father and mother, there are other people as well that you've actually encountered or affected in the wrong way. Are you following what I'm saying? So as I said, made a list of all, and there we go again. There's that second word, all the people. Are you following what I'm saying? Not a few. And then we got list, and then we got all the persons with an S on it we have harmed. That should be a pretty extensive list. Are you following what I'm saying? And it says you may not be able to get to them all, but just consider this. Become willing. Become willing to make this thing right. Are you following what I'm saying? So you're in a process of dealing with that, taking responsibility. Are you following what I'm saying? Are you willing? Are you following what I'm saying? And then it says willing to make what? Amends, to make that wrong situation right as best as you can. And as my brother was saying over there, and I like what you were saying, until we really, I was talking about a river. You know, here's the deal. If anybody know that a river has to have a point of entrance and a point of exit. Are you following what I'm saying? If there is no point, if there's only entrance and no point of exit, it becomes polluted. Right. You can't get the toxins. You know, it has to continue to flow. Are you following what I'm saying? And it stays a flesh flowing river. Are you following what I'm saying? There are some toxins, there's some issues that are on inside of us. As you said, Lieutenant Jones said there's a spiritual thing. You know, God cleanses our spirit. You know, create us a new heart and a new spirit, a right spirit. Right. Here's what I want to say in terms of that is that perception is reality. Are you in our mind? You know, we perceive certain people as infringing on our personal space. We didn't want to let them in. Are you following what I'm saying? Or we've look at other people as probably part of the problem when they aren't. However, by the time you let this stuff out, our perception starts to change. Not only of them, but of ourselves. And when the perception of our perception change, our view of them starts to change. Are you following what I'm saying? In terms of the flow starts to happen, in terms of we start to get back into the flow of things, into the flow of reality. Are you following what I'm saying? So as you start to address that list and deal with that list, things start to flow in you. Your mind, you start to release and see things in another light. Are you following what I'm saying? Because now you right, you can kind of see them right. Are you following what I'm saying? So perception actually becomes reality. Are you following what I'm saying? And probably some of the people that you thought that were against you probably really weren't. You follow what I'm saying? And so the thing of it is with our fathers, with our children, and I'm glad that we really got into the whole list as how all-encompassing, how extensive, and how deep this step really goes. Are you following what I'm saying? It ain't one of them things where you can just, okay, this name and that name, to your own self be true. And so we'll go a little bit further. You was going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say.
And then we go into the step itself.
The young man over there brought up something about how you do emotional damage to yourself. For over 40 years, I blame myself because my uncle molested me for 2 years when I was 5 and 6. I didn't know how to deal with it, so I started drinking about that age. It was still in liquor off the table, whatever, you know. It wasn't until when my mother got sick with cancer that we brought this subject up again, and I asked her, she said, she asked me why was I the alcoholic and the addict that I was. And I said, I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with y'all not doing anything when that man molested me for 2 years. And this is how this conversation came about. And she told me back then, all she knew to do was to go to him, and of course he denied it. In the process, I was left dangling. You know, no psychiatrist, no nothing. It was just dropped. But in my mind, it was still going on. And for over 40 years, I'm in my head saying, what did I do to make him do this to me? You know, blaming myself. When all the time, he was the sick one. You know, and my mother died January the 4th. We had this conversation January the 2nd. And she said, you know what, I'm sorry, but I did all I knew to do. And I said, but you know what? I said, it made me feel that y'all didn't believe me because nothing was done. I said, even he had the nerve to come to me and ask for my forgiveness. And I gave it to him. Because somebody had told me a couple of years back when I came through this process, you can't get nothing until you forgive those that you feel have harmed you. So I knew that much. But when he came to me and asked me, you know, it was like, all these years I've been blaming myself. What all you had to do was say, you know, and then I questioned, I said, how could y'all not understand what was happening when all this time this man was living with a man that's dressed in women's clothes? So how could you not, you know, in my mind, now I'm thinking this back then, you know, it was shut up, you know, it's done and over with, you know, they swept it under the carpet. But it had me messed up for over 40 years. You know, and I've just been able to talk about it to the point where I don't cry no more, you know, the situation is resolved between me and my mother, you know, me and my father, you know, I had the same thing towards him. Why didn't you do anything? You weren't living with us, but you knew. I was your only child. Why did you not step in and do something? Instead of, he reverted to the bottle like I did. I guess because he didn't know how to deal with it either. But I was telling people, until you have to face your past, whatever it may be, get some kind of resolution. I see a psychiatrist now about it, you know, and I'm not ashamed to say it, and I tell anybody, because now I understand part of that is what made me who I was then, not who I am now, because I no longer blame myself, because I had no control over that situation at 5 and 6 years old.
You know, we mentioned last week, and you missed out on it, but we were talking about how part of God's grace includes people that He put in our lives. If you look on page 118, man, just take an examine that bit of information that He gives in terms of us reaching out and accepting help. How many guys know that there's help, but you've got to reach out and accept it? Are you following what I'm saying? So on page 118, what he talks about is, and I'll hit it lightly, it says, When looking to God to remove our shortcomings, we do well to remember that God gives grace directly to us through prayer and meditation, and also through other people. God often uses outside forces to correct our defects. What do we got here? Ministers, teachers, medical doctors, and therapists all can be what? Instruments of God's grace. So you know what? The help is there. The question becomes, are you going to reach out and accept the help that are there? Now let's get into step number 8. And I'm glad we really opened this can of worms, or opened this up so we can really see how big this really is, that in fact it is a list. You know, and we really need to get into it. And so what it says in terms of step number 8, and I'm just going to go to the chase of it, to the quick of it, to the point of it. It talks about taking responsibility. Are you following what I'm saying? Yeah. Being willing to say I'm sorry. It can change the whole thing. And as we get older, we know a lot of time, not just women, but anybody, you feel so much better when somebody man up and just say I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? It clears a lot of air. You follow me? The hostility is gone, the resentment is gone. You may even say like this, you know what? I understand, now ain't the time, but I appreciate you coming. It at least allows you an avenue to perceive or to look at it differently. Are you following what I'm saying? Well, you ain't stewing, you ain't angry, you ain't thinking about retaliating. Are you following what I'm saying? He gonna get hit. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I was at Bible study last night. I was reading something. I forgot the name of the book, though. It was a couple of words, though, like. And it says something about you can't move on in life unless you experience pain and loss. And that kind of stuck with me, you know what I mean? And then what he said was, you know how you said you moved on, and your uncle asked for your forgiveness, and you know, whatever you said something.
Right.
And that came back to me though, cause that's the truth though. You really can't move on in life without experience pain and loss, and you always gotta ask for forgiveness, because if you don't, you're gonna beat yourself up on the inside.
Yeah.
And it ain't no point in doing that. And you're right though, because you really can't get nowhere.
You can't, you know, and you know what? Don't you feel better when you step up to the plate and you say, you know what? I'm gonna be the bigger.
Yeah.
You understand? I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna squash this thing. I'm just gonna go ahead and say, you know what? You know. I apologize, and you know, and just clear the air so this thing can move on. But you're right. Here's the beautiful thing about God, and I'm glad you brought that up. God, he's the only person. He's so awesome that he can use that which was meant for bad to destroy you, strengthen you up, having gone through the experience, build your courage up, build your confidence up, know where your strength comes from, which is from God, because you meant to take me out. And I know if you would have had a joke, you follow what I'm saying? When you look at it, if you would have had a joke way, there's no way I would be here. You wanted me out, but God stuck with me. You follow what I'm saying? He comforted me, you know what I'm saying? He counseled me. He protected me from what you really wanted to do to me. And I know you wanted me out of the pit. Are you following what I'm saying? And when you look back and you reflect on that, what a mighty God we serve, we should. We can serve him with just being grateful. Are you following what I'm saying? We can serve him with just being thankful. Are you following what I'm saying? We can serve him for just being honest, you said, and committed, and being faithful. Are you following what I'm saying? And so what all this does is it builds and creates a new you, because you've been through some things. Are you following what I'm saying? You've got to go through some things, you know, and we talk about that. Either you're presently in something, or you come out of something, or you're headed into something. We all in transition. So as we move on a little bit further, we're going to try and cover most of this, and he talks about just be willing to say I'm sorry. Just be willing and take some responsibility. Everybody else wasn't wrong. You follow what I'm saying? And even you weren't wrong all the time. One of the old schoolers told me in a program, he says, you know what, even a broken clock is right twice a day. You know? And so, you know, you look at it long enough, it's going to be 12 o'clock 2 times a day. You understand what I'm saying? So the whole picture ain't as bad as you may want it. It might look pretty bad for you right now. But it ain't, you know, it ain't as bad as it could be. You know, he's willing to step up to the plate, take some responsibility, and say I'm wrong. You know, they may not have been totally right, but hey, you were wrong too. Even a broken clock is right.
They say when you go through a test, it's for the testimony.
Man, come on, man. What you got to talk about if you ain't been through some things? You know, Shorty, what you got to tell you? Ain't been through nothing. You know, but if you go through some things, man, and pain knows no age. You understand what I'm saying? You could be 3 or 33. Pain is pain. And here's the other thing about love knows no age neither. A lot of times, how many of us can remember when we say, he don't know nothing? But kids hurt too. You understand? They feel the abandonment of love as well, or they feel the presence of love. Love knows no age. You follow what I'm saying? So this is real. So when you get guys in here, younger or older guys, man, this is real. We talking life. You cut me, I believe it. I bled at 3 or 2. I came out bleeding. I believe it when I'm 52. Are you follow what I'm saying? I got feelings, man. You follow? And this is what we actually start to deal with in terms of real, true feelings as we get honest with what we're dealing with. Let's move a little bit further. Man, this is a good group. I love this today. And then what he says is in the next paragraph, he talks about we need to grow up. How about that one? You see down there at the bottom of that second last paragraph in step 8, we begin to what? We begin to grow up. And we admit some of the wrong. We begin. And there's a section in the Bible that said when I was a child, I did the things the children do. But when I became a man, I put aside that childish stuff. I want the rewards that men get. You follow what I'm saying? I've been a child long. I've been there and it was good. But I'm about ready to make I'm about ready to receive some of the major manly benefits that the promises that this program has to offer and for keeps. Let's look on page 128. And we talk about working step number 8. And we says faith without work is what? Dead. And man, all of us want to live. You understand? And live the abundant life. And so in terms of step number 8, one of the things he talks about is thoughtful reflection, which is what we've just shared amongst ourselves, reflecting on seriously for the right reasons. You follow what I'm saying? Thoughtful reflection, looking over those situations and circumstances. And then he talks about writing those names down with those individuals. Put names with faces and places. And then he talks about, again, we examine our relationship, and there's that word again, people we have harmed. And then maybe they did some, you know what? Maybe they ain't ready to admit what they did. Is you gonna let that stop you from being honest? You follow what I'm saying? You like you say, man, you know you did me wrong. You know you did. You follow what I'm saying? But God has a way of dealing with that. Your day is gonna come. Are you follow what I'm saying? I'm not calling it out like that, but you know you did me wrong. But don't let that stop you from doing right. Are you following what I'm saying? This thing is about you being healed, about you being made right, about you having a solid recovery foundation so you can continue to be blessed, so you can see things for what they really are, not for what you imagine them to be. A lot of people, how many guys know that somebody does something wrong, you can imagine getting even with them? Or you can imagine that if they could have, they would even did work. You can make a bet. You can make a mountain. How the old folks should say you can make a mountain out of what? Let's keep going, man. Man, I know, man. And, people say, man, it don't even take all that. That people that shut up and you still argue. You get my point across one way or another.
I'm glad you brought that up because of, everything you just said about seeking revenge on a person. When I came here, person that I was involved in a relationship, I was $80,000 in debt. And if I had sat there and dwelled on it and been stuck and not forgave, I would still be in that same day that it happened. I've been blessed with a job. When I came here, I had 6 years clean. If I went back out, what would have changed? It would have changed nothing. Feeling sorry for myself. But I believe that God was going to change my circumstances. As long as I stayed strong, stayed in His Word and stayed strong, and not change my course. That was going to change, and everything has changed. I've only been here since August. I got a job. I'm in a brand new relationship with another recovering addict. So He's putting those blessings back in my life because I stayed strong. I believe. I didn't, say, well, like you said, no, God, why'd you do this to me? I didn't blame. I just said, I know you're going to change my circumstances. I'm just going to wait for it to happen. And it's happened.
The Bible even talks about this. I'm going to read it to you. Hopefully we got time to read this one before we leave out of here. We have a duty to be merciful, okay? And when you get a chance, I want you guys get a chance, I want you to read Matthew chapter 18, and I'm just going to go from verse 23 and on. I'm going to read to you about the duty to be merciful in terms of the unmerciful servant. And here you go. Therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king that would take account of his servants, okay, in terms of accountability. Our day is going to come. We're going to have to be accountable. Verse 24. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents, okay? And he says, but for as much as he had not to pay, he didn't have the money, his Lord commanded him to be sold, him to be sold, his wife to be sold, his children to be sold, and all that he had, and make payment to be made, all right? Because he didn't have the money, okay? Now check this out. We go to verse 26. The servant therefore fell down and worshiped him, saying, Lord, have patience, okay, with me, and I will pay thee all. Then the Lord of that servant was moved with what? Compassion. Yes. Compassion, okay? And loosed him and forgave him of his debt. We have a duty to be merciful in terms of this. And listen how he pays back his mercy, him being unmerciful for God being merciful, or for this Lord being merciful. Verse 28. But the same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence. Now you got to understand that he owed the Lord 10,000. This cat only owes him 100. Listen what he does. He says this fellow servant owed him 100 pence. And when he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, here we go. And he says, saying, pay me that thou owest. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet and besought him, saying, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. Does that sound familiar? And he goes on and he says, in terms of 30, and he would not, but he went and cast him into prison till he should pay the debt. So when the fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorry and came and told unto the Lord all that was done. This man had a duty to be merciful, but he showed no mercy. So they told the original Lord all that had happened. Then this Lord, after that, he called him and said unto him, O thou wicked servant, I forgave thee of all that debt, because thou desired me. Shouldest not thou also have compassion on thy fellow servant, even as I pitied unto thee? And this Lord was wroth, and rightfully so, and delivered him to the tormentors till he should pay all that was due to him. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you, if ye from your hearts forgive not every one of his brothers their trespasses. Did anybody get that? In other words, his guy owed him $10,000 and he forgave him, but somebody owed you 100, you want them in jail forever and a day. Now tell me that, I mean, how many of us, in terms of making this list, how many people have actually forgiven us? You see the stuff we done, but we can remember people, we can't wait to get out of here. People that owe us $50, man, I'm gonna wring his neck when I see him.
Nick.
But you know, but how much? We got a few minutes. Let me wrap this up real good. I think we had a very good discussion. Here we go. And on page, of course, we can never forget about praying on page 128 as well, in terms of having made that list and the people that we are taking mistakes for and asking God to forgive us as well as them. Now let's look on page 129. And on page 129, one of the main things that he talks about in terms of the 12-step program is that we have a habit of blaming people. And we went through that in terms of misfortune. Now we must be prepared to accept full responsibility for the things that we've gotten ourselves into. And then he talks about step 7, centers us. It says 1 through 7 helps us to center ourselves in the healing power of Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit. Started the process of getting our lives in order, and now we have to continue the growth by making those amends, or making that list of the people and being willing to make amends. Let's go down to the 3rd paragraph. In steps 8 and 9, we will improve our relationship. And it's all about relationships. We're not in a bubble by ourselves. We got to live with other people. No matter what happened to us, we have to be prepared to live healthy relationships, live and be involved in healthy relationships. Let's go to the bottom of 129. Reviewing our 4th step is a means of helping us put that list together. Let's go on page 130. For many of us, admitting the top paragraph, admitting our misdeeds will be difficult because of the pattern our lives have been to blame others and to seek retribution. Remember it said we're going to get even? We got to let that stuff go, man. Some stuff we got to let go. It's like a chain and bar. We carry that around with us. We can't seek retribution. We've got to let go and let what? Let God handle it, man. And if you say it, you'll start to believe it. But we've got to do that. Now let's go down to this next one. And I just told you about the servant. What was that? It says forgive ourselves. Remember we talked about that? And others, it says forgive ourselves and others help us overcome our resentments, okay? Forgiving ourselves. Are you following what I'm saying? And others forgiving ourselves as well as others helps us overcome our resentments. And lastly, we're about repairing our past. We must be willing to face the wrongs by recording the harm we think. Now here, don't get away from it. If we think we done it, we got to be ready to record it. And that's about it for step number 8. Go ahead, brother.
Along with where it says forgiving ourselves, we also have to learn to love ourselves.
Amen. Amen.
That was good. That's the process where I'm at now, learning to love myself. You know, because I come to find out, even though I'm sober, I still run into people that they're not gonna believe it. I don't care if I'm sober 20 years, they're gonna believe it. But it doesn't bother me now because I'm doing what I'm doing for myself, not for somebody else. You know, and just a few months ago that bothered me because I had a family member that was, he was like, nah, that nigga probably down there smoking crack now, they just ain't caught him, you know, and just all over the family, you know, and they got back to me and it pissed me off for a minute. But then I thought about it, I said, you know what? They talked about Jesus Christ, so who am I?
Now, I want to say, man, this was one of the best groups we've had, and it was meant for each and every one of you to be here. I mean, God picked each and every one of you to contribute in the way that you did, and we want to walk out here remembering, in terms of step number 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing, this is a process, to make amends to them all. Thank you for participating in 77 Extreme Men's Ministry and celebrating sobriety. Give yourselves a hand.